You know what's wild? Carl Jung once said that people will do almost anything, even the most irrational things, just to avoid facing their own soul. And honestly, if you look at how normalized drinking is right now, that quote feels way too real. Here's why. Carl Jung believed everyone has a shadow. That's where all the stuff we don't want to deal with lives. Old wounds, unspoken grief, anger you never expressed, loneliness you keep pretending you don't feel, and when you're not ready to face that shadow, you don't usually say it out loud. You distract yourself. So instead of sitting with your thoughts after a long day, you grab a drink, or 3. Instead of asking why you feel empty, you fill your calendar with plans. Happy hour after work, weekend parties, bottomless brunch. You tell yourself you're just being social, just blowing off steam. But notice what happens the moment things go quiet. The moment you're alone at night, the feelings come rushing back. Alcohol didn't fix anything. It just paused the noise. It quieted your inner voice for a few hours. It created a temporary feeling of connection so you didn't have to face loneliness. It pushed pain deeper down instead of letting it come up and be processed. Now zoom out. Carl Jung didn't just talk about the personal shadow. He talked about the collective shadow too. This is what happens when a lot of people escape in the same way. It stops looking like avoidance and starts looking like culture. That's how drinking culture forms. Saying, "I need a drink," becomes normal. Being exhausted becomes a joke. Blackout stories become funny memories. Choosing not to drink suddenly makes you the weird one. Think about it. How often do people suggest grabbing a drink instead of actually talking about how they're doing? How many conversations stay surface level because it's easier to laugh, clink glasses, and move on? Nights out turn into a shared ritual where everyone silently agrees not to ask the deeper questions. You're all together, laughing, posting stories, tagging friends, but under that, a lot of people are still negotiating with their own loneliness. They're just doing it side by side. Avoiding it together feels safer than facing it alone. But here's the part Carl Jung warned us about. What you push into the shadow doesn't disappear. It doesn't get resolved just because you're busy or distracted. It comes back later, just in different forms. Pain you keep numbing shows up as constant exhaustion, even after a full night's sleep, as anxiety that never really shuts off, even when nothing is technically wrong, as that feeling of being stuck, unmotivated, disconnected from yourself. You might notice it leaking into your relationships. You get irritated over small things. You feel emotionally flat with people you care about. Or you feel empty even when life looks fine on paper. Good job. Social life. No obvious crisis. And yet, something feels off. That's the shadow speaking. When it's ignored, it finds other ways to be heard. Carl Jung never said we should erase the shadow. He said we should face it and integrate it. That's the part people skip. Integration means slowing down instead of escaping. Sitting with discomfort instead of immediately numbing it. Letting yourself feel sad without turning it into a joke. Admitting you're lonely without masking it as being busy. Choosing real healing through honest conversations, creativity, meditation, or therapy. This is the uncomfortable part. Healing doesn't come with instant relief. But when you face the shadow, it stops running your life from behind the scenes. It stops hijacking your energy. Over time, it turns into insight, emotional depth, and real inner strength. Quick highs can't replace real inner work. No amount of parties can do what one honest moment with yourself can. Happiness doesn't come from hiding or avoiding the shadow. It comes from having the courage to look at it and bring it into the light. So let me ask you this. How many times have you chosen another drink instead of asking yourself what you're actually feeling? Maybe what you really need isn't another night out, but one quiet moment brave enough to sit down and listen. If this sounds familiar, take a second to reflect, share it with someone who might need it, or stay connected for more conversations like this. Sometimes awareness is where real change begins.